Ever sent a text message? Or maybe a quick email? How about a DM on your favorite social app? We do it all the time, without a second thought. But have you ever stopped to wonder how we got here? How we went from waiting weeks for a letter to sending messages across the globe in an instant? It all started with a simple, yet revolutionary, series of dots and dashes. And the story begins on a cold winter day, January 6, 1838. On that day, in the Speedwell Ironworks in Morristown, New Jersey, a man named Samuel F.B. Morse gathered a small, curious crowd. Morse wasn't a scientist or an engineer by trade. He was a painter, a portrait artist. But a chance conversation on a ship returning from Europe had sparked an idea in his mind, an obsession that would change the world forever. The idea? Transmitting information over a wire using electricity. For years, Morse, along with his brilliant partners Alfred Vail and Leonard Gale, had been tinkering, experimenting, and facing countless setbacks. They were trying to build a device that could turn electrical pulses into a readable message. Many had tried before them, but their systems were often complex, unreliable, or simply didn't work over long distances. Morse's vision was different. He envisioned a system so simple anyone could use it. And on January 6th, it was time for the first public demonstration. The air must have been thick with anticipation and probably a fair bit of skepticism. In front of a handful of witnesses, Morse and Vail set up their contraption. It was a crude-looking thing by today's standards, a transmitter with a simple key, a long stretch of copper wire, and a receiver that used an electromagnet to move a stylus and mark a moving strip of paper. The message they chose to send was carefully selected. It wasn't a grand philosophical statement or a line of poetry. It was a simple, powerful sentence. A patient waiter is no loser. Think about the meaning behind those words. It was a testament to their own years of patient struggle, a quiet nod to the perseverance it took to reach this moment. As Morse tapped out the message on his key, the clicks echoed in the quiet workshop. At the other end of the wire, the receiver whirred to life, and the stylus dutifully embossed a series of dots and dashes onto the paper tape. The message was sent. And then it was received perfectly. Vail, who was at the receiving end, could easily decipher the code. The demonstration was a resounding success. For the first time, a complex thought had been transmitted over a distance using electricity and recorded in a permanent, readable format. It was a breakthrough that felt like magic. Imagine the reaction of the crowd. They had just witnessed the birth of instantaneous communication. The tyranny of distance was beginning to crumble, but this was just the beginning. The January 6th demonstration was a proof of concept, a crucial first step. The real challenge lay ahead, convincing the world, and more importantly the United States Congress, that this invention was not just a clever toy but a vital tool for a growing nation. Morse spent the next several years tirelessly promoting his telegraph. He faced ridicule, political battles, and fierce competition from other inventors who were also racing to develop their own telegraph systems. It was a long, arduous journey. Morse and his team had to refine their technology, making it more robust and capable of sending messages over much longer distances than the 2 miles of wire strung up at the Speedwell Ironworks. The code itself, which we now know as Morse code, was refined by Alfred Vail. Vail's contribution was immense. He developed the system where the most common letters in English, like E and T, were given the simplest codes, a single dot and a single dash, respectively. This made sending messages much faster and more efficient. Finally, in 1843, after years of lobbying, Congress granted Morse $30,000 to build an experimental telegraph line. This was a huge sum of money at the time, equivalent to almost $1 million today. The line was to be built between Washington, D.C., and Baltimore, Maryland, a distance of about 40 miles. The construction was fraught with its own challenges, from insulating the wires to stringing them up on poles across the countryside. Then came the moment that would be forever etched in history. On May 24, 1844, Morse sat in the Supreme Court chamber in the U.S. Capitol building. He tapped out a message chosen by Annie Ellsworth, the daughter of a friend. The message was from the Bible. Numbers 23:23. What hath God wrought? 40 miles away in Baltimore, Alfred Vail received the message and instantly telegraphed it back. The communication was flawless. The world was stunned. Newspapers hailed it as the miracle of the age. The impact was immediate and profound. The telegraph network exploded across the United States and then the world. It changed everything. Businesses could coordinate operations across vast distances. Newspapers could report on events from far-flung cities almost as they happened, giving birth to modern journalism. Railroads used it to manage train schedules, making travel safer and more efficient. Governments used it for diplomacy and military command. It connected families, fueled commerce, and truly united the nation in a way that had never been possible before. The simple dot and dash system demonstrated on January 6, 1838, laid the foundation for every single form of electronic communication we use today. The principles are the same: encoding information, transmitting it as a signal, and decoding it at the other end. From the telephone to the radio, from television to the internet, and yes, to that text message you sent this morning, it all traces its lineage back to that chilly day in a New Jersey ironworks. It's a powerful reminder that world-changing innovations often start small, with a simple idea and a group of determined people who refuse to give up. Samuel Morse, the artist who became an inventor, didn't just create a machine. He created a new human reality. He gave us the ability to conquer distance with thought, to connect with one another in the blink of an eye. So, the next time you tap out a quick message on your phone, take a moment to remember the clicks and clacks of that first telegraph, and the patient waiters who, in the end, were anything but losers. They were the pioneers who set the modern world in motion. This is TimeShift Tech, where we explore what happened in technology on this day. Because every date matters, and every date marks a moment in technology history. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey back in time, don't forget to subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment.